Hey guys, this is a precon upgrade guide for the 40k Ruinous Powers Grixis Commander deck. And again, I'll put this out there. I'll put this out there on all of them. I know basically diddly squat about 40k and whatnot. I know nothing really about the lore and the mechanics of it and whatnot. So I'm really looking at these decks purely as a Magic product. I'm purely looking at doing these upgrades based on synergizing with the main strategy of what the decks are trying to do, not trying to limit myself to the lore and ethics or whatnot of 40k. So I know that that's not what some people want. Some people want to stick to what you can take in 40k and what you can't take in 40k, etc. But I want to, again, this is a Magic product, so I want to make it the best that I can, and that's what I focus on. I focus on Magic, so yeah, that's where my interests lie. But anyway, yeah, this is a Grixis Cascade deck, essentially, and that's what our commander does. So we better read exactly what our commander does and what our commander can bring to the table in this deck here. Alright, so our commander for this one is Abaddon, the Despoiler. He is 2 and Grixis colors, so blue, black, and red. 5/5 Trampler. He's an Aristotes warrior. I don't really know how to pronounce that. Whatever. Moving on. So during our turn, spells you cast from your hand with mana value X or less have Cascade, where X is the amount of life your opponents have lost this turn. So we want to do mass damage to multiple members of our opponents so that we can cast the biggest and baddest spells that we can and get the biggest cascades. Otherwise, basically just revealing the top cards of our deck until we reveal something that has less mana value or converted mana cost than the spell that we just cast. And it has to have that restriction of cost X or less, where X is the amount of life our opponents have lost. This guy having 5 power and being able to trample over things seems okay to help us do some of that and whatnot, so that can be very useful. There are already Cascade decks in these colors, so we're really going to be relying on some of that stuff. Now, there is some stuff that obviously was reprinted into this deck, but they always leave things out, so it's always a good way to go through a deck like this and see what we can sort of swap in and swap out. And again, I'm really looking at this as we're looking at the main synergy, so we better get along to the actual deck list so we can see what we can sort of work with here and what we can potentially take out and what we could potentially take in. Alrighty guys, so now we're over having a look at the deck list on Architect here, and we can see the actual price of these cards currently. Do take the prices with a grain of salt, because again, these are all mostly new cards and whatnot, so prices will be in flux for quite a while because none of this product has actually been released. So yeah, until people start cracking these and opening these, we really won't see how valuable some of it is and whatnot. And there's certainly a lot here to go through, which means I'm going to need to take a break from being here on screen with you guys and talking to you and whatnot here, and actually look through all of this stuff, read through all of this stuff, because I don't think that's very interesting or entertaining for you guys. It's a lot of nothing until we actually get to the point of, putting this deck together and seeing what it's all about at the end of the day once we decide to upgrade it. Not that it's a bad list or anything whatsoever, as I sort of say, but that we could just make some other things and make some other choices that would probably make this deck a whole lot better. So I better get along into it, doing that so that I can show you that upgraded list. So I will be showing you that upgraded list in just a second. But if you're enjoying the content here, you can join the Screw Army by subscribing and turning on the notification. Alright guys, so we've had a bit of tinkering, or I have at least. So yeah, it was quite a process to go through this list and see what I was going to take out and put in. I think that the list is there, and well, at least hopefully it is. As I've been looking through it, we've got quite a few cards here to discuss and to go through. I guess I'm going to discuss the cuts that I've put into the maybe board first. A lot of stuff. Some people aren't going to agree with what I have chosen to do here, but I've cut a lot of demons from this deck. A lot of the demons really didn't do a lot of cascade shenanigans. They did their own demon-y stuff, and there is obviously a demon deck here with Be'lakor that you could obviously build as well. That'd be a really cool deck to build, but it's not this deck, obviously, what we're trying to do with this deck. So, yeah, I basically wanted to take that kind of direction away from this deck. And I also had to cut some cards just to fit a whole bunch of other cards. So, yeah, there are some cards that didn't quite make it in or didn't quite keep in because just couldn't fit them all. Sparring Champion deals combat damage to a player. We sacrifice it, then we reveal cards from the top of our library till we reveal a creature card and put it into the battlefield. If it's a demon, it deals damage to any opponent or to each opponent. Actually, that's pretty darn good, but still, yeah, we have cut down on our demons, so this was the next card that I felt was the worst because we were lower on demons, so I thought that could go. So that was probably one of the last ones that went, I think. Assault Suit. Basically, it goads a creature of our opponents and whatnot. So, yeah, that can be useful, but we don't, like, I was looking that there's a instant sorceries, like, Spellslinger sub-theme here, but we really don't have that much ability to cast a whole bunch of spells on our opponent's turns. Plus, our commander really wants us to cast the spells during our turn, so this really doesn't do a whole lot for us in that regard. Yes, it lowers our opponent's life totals and whatnot, but still, I don't know. Took out a whole bunch of these just terrible tap lands. Be'lakor, because really didn't do anything with Cascade and whatnot. Does do some interesting stuff, though, but still, yeah, I just didn't think it was worth the time. Bioblight's only really useful if we're facing tokens or petitioners or something like that. So not very, very good. Grenade, just destroying one creature, not that amazing, especially for 5 mana at sorcery. Then all creatures getting -3, -3. I don't know, we could just do better, I think, than that, and we could get more from it. Brainstorm, I'm not a huge fan of Brainstorm. Can set up the top, but I'd rather just get something else for doing that. Defiler enters the battlefield or dies. Each opponent choose a non-land permanent that player controls. Destroy one of those chosen permanents at random. Too random for my liking. I don't really like all that stuff. Chromatic Lantern. Not that we have an amazing mana base, but we do have a mana base, and we would rather rely on our mana base being halfway decent, which I think it usually pretty well is, than just this manalith that, you know, can maybe make some of the decisions of what colors of mana to make a little bit easier sometimes, so I just don't think that much of it. Dark Ritual, I just don't think it's that amazing. In certain decks, if you're really wanting to get out everything super duper fast, of course it's really, really good. But that's not really what we're doing here. And it's a bad spell to hit off of any spells that we cascade with. So I just decided to take it out. Decree of Pain, really useful to destroy things, really useful sometimes to cycle it away, but yeah, I just thought we could do some other stuff and whatnot, and it would be a bit more useful. The sword here, Derich, just a bit too much mana, I think, at sorcery speed to exile a thing. Yes, it can buff up our stuff or one of our things. That's okay, but not that amazing. The unclean one, it's at the end step when it deals the damage and whatnot. So again, we really want that damage to be at our main phases so that we can really take advantage of it. We've got way more sorcery speed stuff, so just decided to take it out. Hellbrute has a form of escape or whatever you want to call it, be the ability to return by exiling something. But just not a big enough impact, I think, card to be that worth it. Herald, this guy's really good if you're doing the demon stuff. Like I said, I cut a fair few of the demons, so I think this was one of the other guys that got cut almost pretty late. So yeah, he just got cut because I was low on demons. Karan attacks each opponent if able, or blocks. If you lose control of him, we draw some cards, that's alright. But if it would be dealt damage, prevent that damage, an opponent gains control of it. So when opponents do block it, they just gain control of it, and it doesn't have trample, so it just doesn't really do that much out there. So just thought we'd cut it. Mandate, not too bad, but I don't know, I think we'd rather kill the things that are bigger than the things that we've got rather than the things that are smaller than what we got, because we can easily get through a lot of the smaller stuff unless someone's going wide. So it can be useful, but again, we can also find other things that are more useful, I think, just in general. Conscription, just stealing something from opponents' graveyards and then exiling their graveyard can be useful, but are just too much for too little, I think. The Rot, just too cute of a thing to be worrying about. You have to enchant somebody's thing and then kill it to get a 1/3. I don't think that that's too useful. Poxwalkers could keep coming back, but we're really not doing anything with it. A 3/1 Death Toucher isn't that amazing. Reverberate, again, we could do some stuff with Reverberate, but I don't think there's enough that we can do with the way that this deck was set up, and I don't really want to overhaul this deck way too much to make it a super duper spell slinger deck. So just thought I would take it out and just go in a different direction than try to build around it still being in the deck. The Tyrant at the beginning of end step, again, that's, when it's doing its thing and whatnot. So we really, again, want those things at our main phases so we can take advantage of them. The Heresy here, just another one of those sagas that I feel doesn't do enough up front and takes way too long to actually do anything of any kind of relevance, so just took it out. Ruinous Powers, each opponent at random, you exile the top... you choose an opponent at random, exile the top card of that library, and then you can pay spells. We're not really steely stuff deck, and it doesn't do damage to our opponents, so I just thought, well, we'll take it out. The Crawler here, whenever another creature dies, we put a counter on it, and it has lifelink. Just, I don't know, not enough bang for the buck. Warstorm Surge, though, not bad. Definitely not, but I just felt that there were other cards that would do a whole lot more wide range for us so that we could get more out of things. Power Stone just too slow, in my opinion, to do enough. So we'll go through as fast as possible everything that I put in. And whatnot. Just one spell here in the sorceries, which was Volcanic Torrent, has Cascade, deals X damage to each creature and planeswalker our opponents control, where X is the number of spells we've cast this turn. So, you know, that at least deals with a lot of small stuff, and it only hits our opponents and whatnot. So yeah, that's really useful. I will just say very quickly before saying too much about the lands, I don't think I really added too many lands. Mostly just basics from what I remember. Actually, I do believe that I added Choked Estuary and Shivam Reef. I think that was it, because they're pretty budget and pretty accessible right now, so they're pretty decent to go in right now. Of course, I'll always say if you have the budget for more other things, then put them in, but I'm building this deck as budget as possible, not just going, well, I'm going to put duds in here, but yes, I am putting as budget as possible. Let's go through enchantments. Sunbird's Invocation, really good. When we cast a spell, we reveal the top X cards of our library, where X is the spell's mana value. We cast a spell X or less, where X is the spell's mana value. So we get another spell, and then we can cascade off that spell too, so it can be useful. Protection Racket. I think should have actually talked about this when this set came out, because I forgot all about this card. I think it's actually pretty decent. But for each opponent, at our upkeep, we reveal the top card of our library, and that player can choose for it to go into exile or into our hand. And if they put it into exile, they lose life. So that can be really good for us. If our opponents are dumb enough to put spells into our exile, yes, it is annoying that they go into our exile, but we're still doing damage to our opponents, so that is well worth it. And a lot of times they won't want to put those cards into exile, so yeah, we'll just get those cards and get a bit of card draw, so that's useful. Our Archaeologist, when we cast our spells, we'll do extra damage to our opponents, so that means we can cast more spells and whatnot, and cascade even more, so really useful. Impact Tremors, just whenever a creature ETB is under our control, we do 1 damage to each of our opponents. So that can stack up lots and lots and lots and do lots and lots of damage, creating lots and lots of mana essentially for us and whatnot, and lots of cascade for us. As far as mana rocks, just a couple signets: Demir's Signet, Felwa Stone, Izzet Signet. I also added the Fast Boots, Greaves and Fast Boots, Rakdos Signet as well, and the Booty Boots. And I think that was pretty much it for this. Yeah, that was pretty much it there for the artifacts. All right, we don't have much in the instance here to go through, so we'll go through that next, and then we'll go through creatures. So Reality Shift. Actually, I should have also... maybe I should have changed this with Resculpt or whatever, or maybe I should have put Resculpt in here somewhere. But yes, both of those would be really good. Exile a creature here, and they manifest or get the top card of their library and whatnot. And if it's a creature they can cast, it's just fine. Actually, maybe I should have got rid of Kill Blam, Blam Mam here. Yeah, I should have really got rid of that. So let's get rid of that. And maybe Ward. And really quickly, hang on. Let's go quickly while I'm thinking of it. Resculpt. Go. Edit. There we go. That's better. So yeah, just that's exile artifact or creature, and they get a 4/4. Infernal Grasp, just kill a thing, and we lose 2 life. Actually, I should have also tried to find space for Baleful Mastery. Oh my god. Terrible. But whatever, I won't do that now. And whatnot. Because we're already here, so yeah, that's fine. yeah, so that was it there anyway. Aura Phoenix was a creature we added because Cascade. Yep. What else did we add here? Uh, the Dust Mantle Seer. At our upkeep, each player reveals the top card of the library, loses life equal to that card's cost, and then draws it to the hand, essentially. So that can be, really, really useful in the right circumstances, deals a whole bunch of damage to our opponents, and gives us mana to cast things, essentially. The Horns Sorcerer here, just for Cascade. The Flamekin giving our commander Cascade and whatnot. Florian, at the post-combat main phase, we get one of our top X cards, where X is the total amount of life our opponent's lost this turn. Exile it, and we can cast it. So that can be really useful, getting more card advantage, card selection. What else did we add here? We added some stuff. We added some things. I know we did. Oh yeah, we added Nephilus Leo, however you say it. Big flyer, so that's all right. Whenever we cast a spell from exile, we can copy it, so that's really useful. And if it's a permanent, it becomes a token. Neheb adds a whole bunch of mana equal to the amount of life our opponent's lost, so that's really good. And whatnot. What else do we add? Professional Facebreaker. Whenever we hit someone, we make treasures, and we can sacrifice treasures to exile the top card of our library and play it this turn. Prosper Tomebound, beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library until end of your next turn. You can play it. But the main text here is whenever we cast a card from exile, we make a treasure token. So yeah, that can be really useful when we're cascading a whole bunch. Rakdos just reduces the cost of our spells by the amount of life our opponents have lost, so that's really good. Protege, it can copy anything that we have or anything that our opponent had enter this turn. It also cascades, so we can get something off of it, which is very useful. The Storm Fist draws a card for each player, and each player loses one life. So again, we're getting that card advantage, that card draw, and we're also getting that damage so that we can, do all sorts of nasty stuff to our opponents. And the last one was Wild Magic Sorcerer. And this first spell we cast from Exile has Cascade, so exiling a spell with Cascade is, in that zone. So I felt like that really fit with what we're doing here. But yeah, that is the list. As I said, there might be one or two cards that I accidentally probably forgot, but hey, it is what it is, my boys. So that is the deck, and you guys can tell me what you guys think, especially if you're going to pull this deck and play it. I would love to know if you guys actually change this deck in the way that I have suggested and how it goes, because I can only play so many games or get so much done with these decks in the limited amount of time that I have to put these together and do stuff with them before they have to go out and up and whatnot. But that is what that is. But yeah, you guys can let me know what you think. Let me know all your thoughts about this upgrade guide. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. I'll be sure to respond. But hey, if I don't see you down there in those comments, I hope to see you in the next one.